Dolmanet. Thank you for joining us on Beer with the CFO. Today's topic is 3 pitfalls to avoid in your first 100 days. And I think we sent you a couple different beers. I have the good behavior, which is kind of a fun title for a new CFO. I don't know if you're having good behavior, if everyone around you is having good behavior, because you're the new CFO in town.
Neither. Not a lot of good behavior going on. So.
Yeah, my kind of company. And then we also sent you some Blue Moon, and those are out of Colorado. So enjoy those. And so, David, thank you for joining us. I'll tell the audience a little bit about you. You're an advisory board member of the CFO Leadership Council. That's how we know each other. And Brycomm is a telecommunications company with design, installation, service, and maintenance of network and infrastructure. Winning awards over there, Inc. 5000 honoree in 2022. And you're 50 million in revenue with 250 employees. You just built a new headquarters in Texas, and you'll easily add 200 new jobs within the next 5 years. So congratulations on that. A lot of success going on over there with your new company.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, glad to be here. And I just joined actually a little over a month ago. So a lot of it is still new. I know where the cafeteria and the bathrooms are, and I'm learning where the conference rooms are still. So
yeah, getting to know your way around. Well, I hope you can find your closest brewery so you can enjoy a brew after all of the hard work with your first 100 days. In fact, that's why we chose this topic for you: pitfalls to avoid in your first 100 days. So you are in your first 100 days. Surprised you're taking the time to meet with me, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like I said, I'm about a month in, so if my math is right, I should have fallen into one of the pitfalls so far.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, so tell us about some of those pitfalls that CFOs can avoid in their first 100 days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously there's a lot of pitfalls and problems and challenges. And honestly, I kind of focus more in thinking about this in terms of what to do to avoid the pitfalls. And for me, it's, I use a couple of criteria when I look at a new opportunity. It's, what can I learn? What can I contribute? And what can I earn? Right. So from a learning perspective, it's always go into a new job with an open mind, basically, and be open. Don't go in with a lot of preconceived notions. For me, especially now in my last several jobs, it's been a new industry. So I'm learning not just a new company and a new team, I'm learning a new industry in the network infrastructure and structured cabling world. I've done construction and I've done a lot of manufacturing, but I've never done percent complete construction accounting before. So that's one of the main, kind of learning curves that I'm going up. So try to go into it with an open mind and not a lot of preconceived notions about how things work, how things should work. Learning the team and the way they interact, and trying to understand kind of the why. I literally just got out of a meeting with my HR lead, and we were talking about job descriptions. And instead of doing job descriptions as here's the tasks that I want this position or this person to perform, I want them to understand the why. I want to articulate the why when I'm posting for a job, and understand what it is that drives and what the success looks like in that role. Not here's the 8 tasks that I need you to do and the experience that I need you to have. That needs to be incorporated in there. But in terms of then evaluating a new job for myself, I do the same thing. Well, what is it that, why am I there? What am I there to try to accomplish? And what does success look like for that role? So that's one of the things that I try to do to avoid, pitfalls in starting with a new company, is just have an open mind and try to learn and absorb as much as you can in those first 100 days, in the first, 3 months, as you come in to a new company, to a new role.
It doesn't surprise me to hear that as a CFO, you want to be able to measure success, having your own KPIs.
Yeah, exactly. And that's some of the challenges and the highest priority for me is not only for my teams within finance. I mean, that's one of the things that is interesting to me within the finance realm, is that you can measure the success of just about any other group in the company in financial terms. So using those KPIs and helping define those and implement those for the team, we don't focus a lot, or we don't focus enough in my mind on labor productivity. So that's one of the key performance indicators that I'm trying to implement and make that come out of the financial systems much more efficiently and easily as we get underway. So second pitfall is, and I don't remember, it's on the SEC filings, right? Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results, right? So things are changing so fast right now. And I know we always say that, right? It's a dynamic environment, but right now it really is, in terms of, this is the first time in 15 years that we've had something called interest rates to deal with, that we've really had to look at, cash management much more closely, and using debt instead of costing, a couple of points. I've got variable rate debt on my line that's now over 7%. And I've got people on my team that have their entire careers, the interest rate has been 0. So trying to adapt to that environment, in addition to the fact that now we've got, war in Europe, we're looking at a recession, we've got, interest rates, and trying to control inflation. So how do we, and that was one of the CFO Leadership Council meetings that we just had, was how do we need to comprehend inflation in our business planning, and how that impacts what we do. So trying to comprehend and get ahead of, instead of reacting to, trying to be proactive in terms of planning in that dynamic environment. And on top of all of the other things that are coming at us in a normal world, right? And it's, we're in a growing market, and trying to take our unfair share of market within that growth, on top of all of those things. So it's a really dynamic time, and trying to not only comprehend that and be proactive in terms of managing it for our business, literally trying to teach my team, well, here's why we've got to be more concerned about our debt schedules and what our interest rate looks like. And we've got floating rates on these things. Our interest expense has nearly tripled. So yeah, some of those things become a lot more relevant than they are, or have been, literally for the last decade. So
yeah, educating them on the outcomes of the new environment that you're facing, and how that impacts the business. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So third, I would say, and it seems kind of cliche or maybe silly, smile. I don't know if people have read The Happiness Advantage by Sean Achor. There's a great TED Talk that he gives. And it is the fact that our paradigm is literally backwards. We believe we will be happy when we're successful. And the contention is, you will be successful, you will be more successful when you're happy. Typically, as a new CFO, you're coming in, unless you're joining a startup that's, from day one, you're typically coming into a company because there's some problems, because they're making a change, because something's going on, right? So there are challenges with morale and with the energy of the company, and bringing some positivity and kind of being upbeat and talking to your team of, how's it going today? Or how are things going? That also dovetails into the conversation about metrics. It's like, well, things aren't going well. Well, how do you know? What are you measuring to say, things are good, things are not good? And it's just be positive and be upbeat. And that can help improve the energy that the rest of the team brings as well. I mean, we talk about it all the time, the quiet resignation or quiet quitting that's going on, right? People give the minimum amount of effort. And I'm not even suggesting that happens here at Brycomm, but that is a real issue in the US these days. And part of getting people to give that discretionary effort and go above and beyond just the minimum, I'm just here collecting a check, I'm just here turning a crank. Again, that goes back, understand the why, understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And as the CFO, it's articulate that end goal and what success looks like. And my role is to deliver and make sure that my team has the resources and the tools and the processes to get there. because they're the feet on the street, they're, where the rubber meets the ground. They're the ones that can dictate to me the best way to go do that. So I don't ever try to micromanage and say, you need to do this way. This is the way I've seen this work in the past, right? And that's part of being open-minded about things. Here's the vision and where we're trying to get to. You tell me how the best route to navigate to get there. So
yeah, you want people to thrive in their role. Yeah,
Sorry?
it sounds, and that's a great discussion. You want people to thrive in their role and feel value and feel like they're contributing value, and that should bring them happiness and content in their role, and then certainly have a beneficial impact on the company. So just bringing that positive attitude every day of how can I make an impact? What can I do? What can I do better? What can I learn today that will help me and the organization accelerate both of our paths forward?
Absolutely.
That's great advice. Pivoting just a little bit and talking about how CFOs are thriving in uncertain times. We mentioned the CFO Leadership Council, and they have an upcoming event to talk about the talent shortage and retention. It's a huge issue for every company and something that CFOs have to manage through. My question is, you've been a fractional CFO in the past. In fact, you've managed several software equity-backed portfolio companies at the same time. How would you describe the potential of outsourcing certain components during an uncertain time, maybe a recession? Does potentially outsourcing some functions that maybe aren't core to the business, is that helpful, and how so?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the challenge, like I said, with hiring and retention, to me, the pressure outlet valve for that, again, as we continue to scale and grow revenue, there's a path to, well, here's when we need to add additional capacity for these specific functions. But it's also nonlinear growth. So you can always try to grow ahead of that growth in terms of your resources and your capacity, or you can always be trying to catch up to that. Using outsourcing is a great way, and I was at Motorola Freescale when we actually looked at the evolution to the asset light model, because we couldn't own, when it cost $1 billion to plant a fab in the ground, we couldn't own all of our own capacity. And we would try to build our capacity to kind of the baseline growth plans and use foundries as the burst capacity to satisfy the incremental volume that we couldn't meet internally. Outsourcing your functions from a finance and accounting perspective is the exact same approach, right? So you can try to grow your team to the baseline of your growth. And as your business growth accelerates beyond that, if you're successful, use outsourcing to add that incremental capacity that you don't want to have as permanent fixed cost. And as a way, honestly, what I've seen a lot is because of the expertise of outsourced, of those groups, is they can also add capacity just from a process improvement perspective. So it's not, I need more capacity to perform the same tasks. You can bring in that expertise and improve the efficiency with which you perform those tasks. So it starts to become a multiplier effect, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not just adding capacity, I'm adding capability, and I'm improving the way I do things, not just getting them done.
We definitely saw that.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
We definitely saw that in 2020, 2021, a little bit in 2022, but with add-on acquisitions within our client base, we supported over 50 add-ons. And so we were able to plug in the finance talent that was needed during that, post-acquisition integration, and certainly integrating the finance function into the parent. So we saw a lot of that needed during that time.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that is a little bit more project timeline based, where there's a relatively set timeline to absorb this, the new company in terms of doing the post-acquisition integration. That fits perfectly into that outsourced model. And even beyond that, I mean, I'm at a situation now because of the challenges to hire, luckily, and I hesitate to even speak it out loud, I haven't had many retention problems. So yeah. But being able to hire and kind of fuel that continued growth, I'm struggling with that. So I'm looking right now at how do I add, how and where do I add capability to the team? Again, not just for capacity, but for capability as well. To bring somebody in. And that's the balance to when we get into that, you're running on that treadmill, right? And it's just, I got to get this done. I've got this pile of tasks that I've got to complete to get month end finished and get board packages done and bank reporting and all these things, right? But I can't just dedicate all of my time to doing that. I've got to dedicate some time to the way I do that and improving the efficiency with which I do that. And balancing that requires extra resource. So sometimes the extra resource that you can outsource is in a floater that does process improvement, or it can be in capacity increase to help get that done to free up my internal people to do that process improvement. So, outsourcing to me is a huge benefit and a great way to leverage, like I said, capacity and capability.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, David, for your time. Hey, I was lucky to capture your attention for the time that I did being a new CFO in the first 100 days at Brycomm. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your Blue Moon or your good behavior. And thank you for joining me on Beer with the CFO. We'll see you next time. Thank you, David.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bridget.
All righty. Bye-bye.